Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to our annual New Year's Eve press conference. I am Deputy Chief Kelly McMahill with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and I'm here briefing you on behalf of LVMPD because this year I have the honor of being the incident commander in charge of the Strip and downtown operations. First and foremost, I want to really give a huge thank you to Switch. We are back here again this year, and I can't tell you how much the partnership means to us. Just as you look around this room, what a fantastic space to have as our Incident Command Operation Headquarters. We really do appreciate it more than you know. The technology is fantastic, unlike anything that we've had in the past. I would be remiss if I didn't start out by thanking all the jurisdictions that make it possible to have a happy and healthy and safe New Year's Eve here in Las Vegas. We don't do this by ourselves. It is a true collaboration. Some of those partners are going to come up and speak today, but I really want to thank all of the local police, law enforcement agencies that are assisting us, as well as our fire partners and our federal partners. We couldn't do it without you. So this year has been an interesting one, hasn't it? As it comes to a close, I think we can all agree on that. Things will look a little bit different this year on the Strip. Obviously, there'll be no fireworks this year, which is what most people come to see, is that show at midnight. And I believe that we're anticipating a little bit of a smaller footprint in regards to the number of visitors that we may have, and even locals that go down to the Strip. But that being said, LVMPD is taking this as seriously as we have every year. Our posture has not changed. We will have over 1,200 police officers on the Strip, another 200 that are working downtown, as well as I mentioned, our partnering law enforcement agencies and our federal partners. As always, we're going to focus heavily on the safety of everyone that comes down to enjoy themselves. That being said, we're going to be in strict compliance with the ordinances that are specific to New Year's. No glass will be allowed on the Strip. If you're seen with glass, you'll be stopped. It'll be taken away and confiscated. It's very important, especially in light of what we just saw happen in Nashville. Again, we're very focused on keeping people safe, so no large bags will be allowed on the Strip. Nothing larger than 12 by 12 by 6, and I liken that to a paper grocery sack. Any luggage, any baby strollers, any carts that are being pushed around, you will be stopped, you will be warned, and then after that, if you refuse to leave with that property, we again will confiscate that property. This is all to make sure that people stay safe on this important night. One of the other changes this year is we are closing, our road closures will start at 7:30 p.m. So please know that if you're in the area or looking to get in or out of the area. 7:30 p.m. will start a soft lockdown on the Strip. By 8 p.m., hard closure. There'll be no vehicle access on the Strip. This year, the closures will go from Mandalay Bay to Spring Mountain. The only difference between this year and several years in the past is that we will not be closing down at Sahara. If anyone's been to the Strip lately, there's a lot of road work going on there, so we don't think we're going to get as much foot traffic as we have in the past. So listen, I've mentioned our resources. I've talked about those things that we're going to be taking a hard look at this year. And so I will also mention that we're very aware of what happened in Nashville. While there seems to be one man that acted by himself, we never chance anything. So we are doing several protective sweeps in the days leading up to New Year's, as well as that night, both on the Strip and downtown. We're being very vigilant at our communication centers and other critical infrastructure throughout the valley as well. And I will just close with this because it is the year that we're in. The governor still has a mask mandate and a 6-foot distancing mandate. What I ask on behalf of LVMPD is that if you're coming to visit here, if you live here and you're coming to the Strip or downtown, please be mindful of these rules that are in place. Please wear your mask. Please try to social distance. We want you to have a good time. We welcome you to have a good time, but we also don't want to send ourselves back months in this pandemic where we have more and more people going to the hospital and we're closing down our city. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today. And now I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Clark County Commissioner Michael Naft.
leave it up to Switch to have that. Thank you very much. And to that point, thank you, Ms. Fretwell, and to Switch for hosting us once again this year. I'm glad to be back and appreciate Deputy Chief McMahill and her comments, along with all of our partners here, including Clark County Fire Department and my friend Councilwoman Fiore with the City of Las Vegas. While we all know, and it has already been mentioned, that this year it'll feel very different, we should all rest assured that the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and all of the stakeholders that are here today take this as seriously as they do every year. You heard a little bit from Metro, but the planning will continue to be as significant as it has been in year past, and that goes along for Clark County. We have 4,000 barricades that'll be put up, 26 street sweepers that'll be in place. Excuse me, so we're ready for anything that comes our way, both from a maintenance side to protect our strip and also from a law enforcement side. It was also said that as in years past, bottles, large bags, strollers, backpacks will be prohibited, and that's a measure that was put in place in Clark County to keep all of us safe on events such as this occasion. But I can also tell you that this year is very different. As a member of the Board of Directors of UMC, the state's busiest hospital, I want to personally and very directly ask the members of our community to keep our medical personnel in mind as you celebrate this year. We're going to throw the biggest party the world has ever seen next year. For this year, we want to support our economy. We want to make sure that everybody is able to celebrate in their own way, but it's for this year, do it with your close group of friends and family. Keep that group small, wear your mask, wash your hands, because we are nearing capacity in our community, and we do not want to take any unnecessary risks. So I ask you, as much as anybody can, I want to personally make that request to our community, that please, out of respect to the men and women who are here today, who are keeping our community safe, out of respect to the doctors and the nurses and all those who are staffing our hospitals throughout our community, please keep them in mind as you make your considerations for just how you celebrate. And also consider nowhere else can do it like the LVCVA this year. In theme with their Only in Vegas, they'll be kissing off 2020. So I hope you will consider joining them for that event. Confetti, streamers, fireworks, it's virtual, it's safe, and it'll make sure that those who live and work and play in our community have an outlet to enjoy this new year. I'll be looking forward to it. And that's at visitlasvegas.com. So again, I want to thank all those partners who will be working on New Year's Eve to keep you and me safe. And I want to thank everybody in our community who's really keeping them in mind and doing what's right for us to get through this hurdle, get through these difficult times, so we can all celebrate together come a year from now. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Oh, and excuse me, now I get to bring up to the podium my friend and colleague, our partner with Clark County at the City of Las Vegas, Councilwoman Michelle Fiore.
Thank you all for joining us today. While this year's celebration looks a little different, we are still committed to making sure it's fun and a safe experience here in the City of Las Vegas. All of our first responders will be out in force New Year's, from the men and the women of our Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and the Nevada Highway Patrol, to our firefighters, our city marshals from the City of Las Vegas and the Clark County. Keeping our residents and guests safe. It is our job to help them out. We need to ensure that we are vigilant and acting as their eyes and ears for our first responders. So please, if you see something, say something. Make sure you get their attention. We can also make the correct choices. That means we have to wear masks. It's still in the governor's mandates. We have to keep our social distance, and calling for a ride if we're under the influence. Uber is extremely cheap. There's no reason not to call. if you are drinking. We want everyone to have an amazing night, but we also want to make sure that safety remains our top priority. We are one of the safest cities in the world, and that's thanks to our police forces, our first responders, and the private security at all of our hotel and casinos. We ask our residents and our visitors here enjoying our city to please make sure and keep our city safe as we ring in the new year. Happy New Year's, everybody. And now I'm going to have our Clark County Deputy Fire Chief, Mr. Warren Whitney, come up.
Thank you. Where do I get one of those gadgets? I need that for my house, especially when I had COVID. First of all, I'm Deputy Fire Chief Warren Whitney from Clark County Fire Department. I want to reiterate Chief McMahill's sentiment about thanking Switch for having us here and providing us a large enough space that we can still take command of this incident and also remain socially distanced. I would also like to thank the law enforcement, Metro, NHP, the North Las Vegas Police Department, and all the supporting agencies, private ambulance companies. They have been great in the planning of our response for New Year's Eve. I can't really go into any operational details, but what I can tell you is that we will have a robust presence on the Strip, more than adequate for this New Year's Eve, just as in the past years. We, as Chief McMahill stated before, we are very aware of what's going on around the world, specifically Nashville, and we are fighting complacency. We are keeping our guys on their toes. If you see something, say something. Rather be overly cautious than regretful. And I'd also like to reiterate the comments made. Our hospitals are nearing critical capacity. So while we want everyone to celebrate the new year, we would like you to do it responsibly and keep in mind social distancing, your masks. I know that's hard and everybody wants to get the year over with, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Let's try and stay safe and follow the governor's mandates, and we'll get through this. That's it. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Switch Senior Vice President, Betsy Fretwell.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you to all the presenters, Councilwoman and Commissioner and Deputy Chief Mayhill. Once again, it's Switch's honor to host this incident command on a very important evening in our community. And like the others have said, while this one may feel a little different, Switch is here to help be a partner in this community to keep it safe and to make sure that everyone has a safe and joyful ring-in of the new year here. And we're really proud to be a partner with our law enforcement and public safety agencies across the state to make that a reality. As you probably all know, Switch is a technology infrastructure company located right here in Southern Nevada. And we are really proud of that partnership, and we're happy to step in and create an environment where all of our public safety agencies can be safe and function effectively and keep all of our tourists and our residents safe on a very important evening. I wish you all the very best for a happy new year, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Go ahead.
Now that you're expecting fewer people on the Strip, this is for Metro, are you expecting more parties at home, and do you have any
You know what, thank you for bringing that up. We do have enforcement plans for that. So this year, we've dedicated numerous, and I, again, won't go into specific operations, numerous resources to go out, disrupt, and prevent parties. We've been, as we speak, in this last week and leading into New Year's, we're doing a lot of intelligence work, trying to figure out where some of these larger parties might be planned, right? The rental properties that may not be renting lawfully and legally. So yes, we do have a plan for that. We're calling it our Jumbo Violent Crime Initiative. So those folks will be specifically focused and targeted on the rest of the valley. And I'm sorry, I was remiss in adding that earlier, that our job is also to keep the rest of this valley safe, right? While ringing in the new year downtown and on the Strip. So we've added multiple resources to be able to do that this year. So illegal fireworks will be handled in the same manner that they always are. The calls will go into dispatch. It will certainly not be a priority on this night, right? The priority would be higher level type calls, but when we can get there, we'll certainly get there and handle those as well. Yes, ma'am?
Is there an added concern about like Airbnb and short-term rental property parties with the Strip and downtown not being as big?
Yes, and of course, most of you here locally are aware that over the summer, we saw quite a jump in the violent parties that were occurring at the Airbnbs, VRBOs. So absolutely, that team that we put in place will be going out specifically looking for those. We've already begun to target those locations, and we're also putting out PSAs so that folks know that if they do come here and they're renting illegally and they host large parties, we're going to be knocking at their door.
Any idea how many people you're expecting to actually be on the Strip and downtown compared to a usual year?
I wish I could answer that. I think that we call it a guesstimate, and our guesstimate right now is maybe 200,000 as opposed to what we normally get. But again, it's so difficult to say. That's why this year more than ever, it's important that we remain with the same posture in mind as far as safety, and that's why we're dedicating the same numbers that we do every year to these locations.
Given everything going on, that closing off the Strip might encourage more crowd on the Strip?
No, we don't have that concern at all. I think, look, here's the reality, right? People are going to come, and knowing that they're going to come here, it's our job to keep them as safe as possible while keeping our own officers safe. And the best avenue to do that, in agreement with all of our Strip property leadership, is to close the Strip like we normally do.
What are the biggest concerns this New Year's with everything going on?
What are our biggest concerns? I think that today I share with all of these partners behind me that our biggest concern is that our hospital is almost to capacity. We're going to manage whatever takes place on the Strip and whatever takes place downtown, but the very real fact is people are still getting sick at a very high rate in this country and here in our own home, and that worries me the most. We really have to work together to keep each other healthy. Any other questions?
Reminding people about celebratory gunfire, just some advice on that.
Yeah, so we do that every year as well. We'll put out PSAs, but please, folks, don't shoot a gun off to celebrate the end of this year, even though we all can't wait to see it go. What goes up has to come down, and that would be a real tragedy. So please, don't do that.
I know you're reminding people to wear masks and social distance, and all we ever do is remind, but is there any way to actually make that happen when officers are out patrolling the Strip this year?
So we don't enforce that, right? We don't actively enforce it. And this year, our bigger concerns will be the baggage that's down on the Strip. It'll be the glass containers, things that we know historically have caused the most damage and injury. However, the best thing about working the Strip or downtown on New Year's Eve is the level of engagement that our officers have with the public. So anytime we're engaging, I promise you, they're going to be asking them if they're not to put their mask on, reminding them to stay safe, and not just for the party goers, right, but also for the health and welfare of our officers that have been working every single day since this pandemic started, along with our fire partners that are going to be out there with us. Thank you, folks. I really appreciate your time today.